my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the
Everybody
procedure,
stay calm.
everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
Holy moly, guys. It finally happened. After 3 Showdown humiliations, Port finally ended the Crows dynasty in the City of Churches with a clutch 7-point win against the home side. I'm still in disbelief that we actually bet Adelaide. Like I am. One of the reasons why I'm struggling to believe this is just when we entered this competition, we were just a bunch of teenagers who barely knew how to kick a football. And Adelaide, meanwhile, was a 3-time dynasty team with incredible players like Ebony Marinoff and Anne Hatchard. Like, it was just difficult to everything that, especially that first showdown when the Crows just destroyed us. To think in only 4 years we could, narrow that margin down and finally get a win. But, based on how that Hawthorn game went, you just sort of had that feeling that the sky really was the limit going into this showdown, as was really shown throughout this game. Well, for bits and pieces. Yeah, we need to talk about that first quarter. Well, not like the worst quarter we've played. There was definitely some moments of just our defence really just failing at some of the worst times that allowed the Crows to get 3 relatively easy goals. But in contrast, we obviously got some goals back through Houghton and that incredible snap on the boundary by Tahau. Maybe finally actually has a nomination for the goal of the year with a ridiculous number of goals scored. But we'll get to that in a little bit. But while the first quarter was iffy, the second and third quarter, oh my goodness. That second quarter where we kicked, I think, 4 unanswered goals was insane. And then to follow that up with that third quarter where we just basically locked the ball in the Crows' forward half, in our forward half. Like, I think there was one point, it was like 6 or 7 minutes into the quarter, and it said time in forward half, 100% Port Adelaide. I was like, what? Like, the Crows physically could not get the ball across the halfway line. That was insane. And I've been one of the architects of this second and third quarter, which was Jasmine Stewart, of all players. Like, you would never have thought the 26-year-old would suddenly turn into, I don't know, Jasmine Garner for a quarter, and she was just getting the ball, or she got like a record 10 touches, and her first ever goal after I think 7 seasons in the competition. Like, that was Jasmine. Just how has she not been in our team for most of this year? Like, she was taken out in round 2 and not put back until last week, and I'm just like, this player is she is insane. Like, I presume she's a lot for next week, but damn, Jasmine Stewart, absolutely insane performance. But Stewart obviously wasn't the only one, because we also need to talk about our goal kickers in Gemma Houghton, who is now, I think, 4 goals away from hitting triple figures for her entire AFLW season. But more importantly for this season, Indy Tahau with another 2 goals, with obviously that amazing snap on the boundary, but also another nice goal, I think, in the second quarter too. You think she's got this locked up? She's now, I think, a solid 4 goals in front of second place. And with Chloe Malloy basically out of the Sydney clash this weekend, you think she's not going to be able to catch Indy. But that just leaves the Roos, Jasmine Garner and Baitland Bogue, who are also, only about 4 goals behind. So I'm really hoping, maybe it's a bit mean to Rich this, but I really hope Jasmine Garner has a goalless game this weekend. That should, fingers crossed, keep Tahau safe. Although, to be honest, our opponent next week might also allow Tahau to get another 5-goal game. But we'll get to that in a bit. But before then, we do need to talk about what happened in that third quarter, because despite the fact that we had all this possession, we had no goals. Like, it was just, the ball was going in and it was just being mucked around, and their 50 ball, they kicked it out, and then we got it and we kicked it back in again, but we just weren't converting anything, and it was just really annoying to watch the players just stumble around with the ball. And unfortunately, one of the players I do have to point to is Jasmine Sowden, who unfortunately, I'm not going to be too mean on her because she is a first-year player, but the amount of times she was the ball's on the ground, all she needed to do was just pick it up and either quickly handball it to someone or even try and go for goals herself, and she just fumbled it forwards and into a Crows player, and it would just result in a tackle and a ball up. And I don't get ground balls are difficult, but man, you just felt like there were just goals begging in that quarter, that if we just played a little bit, they were playing really clean between the arcs, but once we got inside our 50, it just And like, I will defend it, the players definitely looked really tired. I think Adelaide definitely ran us out in that game, and obviously the Crows did mount a comeback, obviously only being down by just over 20, I think it was like 22 or so. The Crows obviously began a big comeback. Obviously, they kicked 3 unanswered goals in that fourth quarter. But to the girls' credit, they really dug in that third. They weren't going to let this be another Saints game. And they really slowed that rate of Crows goals to the point where they just simply ran out of time. Like, sure, if this game had gone on another 5 minutes, the Crows might have got those 2 goals they needed to win. But credit to the girls, they slowed the game down as much as they needed to ensure that the Crows simply just couldn't catch us. So even though I would have liked to have seen some more goals in those last few quarters, I'm still happy that, a win by 7 is still a pretty damn good. We won by over a goal. But to give credit to one player, and specifically in that last quarter, who did a really great job, it's Abby Dowrick, who claims our club's first ever Showdown medal after a stellar performance with another career-high 24 disposals and a goal to top it off. Like, she was definitely doing an amazing job out there, and it was just really fun to finally see. Like, again, I'm still feeling so surreal about the fact that, oh my goodness, we actually won a Showdown. And speaking about winning a Showdown, the fact that we have won means we are still technically in the running for finals, depending on how these games go, how some of the games go this week. Obviously, we need West Coast to beat Sydney, Richmond to beat Fremantle, and Geelong to beat the Bulldogs. And with that, we will potentially finish as high as 9th, which is kind of crazy to think about, definitely how this year started. But the big game I am definitely watching this weekend is Carlton versus GWS. Carlton's on 24 wins and a pretty low percentage. So if GWS can win, Carlton plays West Coast next week, which you'll think they'll lose. And that will potentially open a spot for us to jump in. So, yeah, I'm really hoping Carlton, GWS can, pull off an upset and win this week. But we'll have to wait until Sunday for that. But as for us, we're unfortunately coming right to the end of the home and away season, which also might be the end of our season, depending on how the results this weekend go. But regardless, really exciting because it's in Sydney, Henson Park 105 on the Saturday. So I will be heading up to Sydney with some friends to watch this game and hopefully see our girls maybe make that last-ditch final appearance. But obviously I'll be really excited to see if Tahau and Houghton can hit their margins. Obviously Tahau, just kicking at least 2 to 4 goals to just really cement that leading goal kicker. And Gemma Houghton to potentially kick the 4 goals needed to be the first player to reach triple figures. It's crazy to think she's in the running when you've got players like Jasmine Gardner playing for North Melbourne who are also in the running. But regardless, so I guess next week it will be Let's Go Power. But for now, it's going to be, well, there's a big, big sound from the west of the town.